Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, July 28th. This is Gina Palma. Over the next couple days, we will have some increases to fire potential possible. Today, what looked to be a fairly dry and hot day, we do have an upper level shortwave moving across Nevada later today. This may bring the potential for isolated showers or some dry lightning in the area shaded in yellow, and these thunderstorms may track further northeast during the evening hours. Right now, coverage looks to be pretty isolated, and fuels have taken a hit downward with the recent moisture we've seen. However, it is still something to watch for later this afternoon. On Monday, winds will be picking up. They'll pick up a little bit today on the Sierra front, but will be picking up and spreading further east on Monday. Most gusts below 30 miles per hour, but it will be a dry and breezy day across much of Nevada into western Utah. And the isolated showers and thunderstorms may increase in coverage and move north up into Idaho on Monday. On Tuesday, still some breezy winds to deal with across the Great Basin, especially southern Nevada up into western Utah and parts of eastern Idaho. And then we will see some moisture returning to Utah for isolated showers and thunderstorms. Moisture will increase as the week goes on. Looking at the recent 24 hours, we have seen lesser amounts of lightning, and it was pushed further east across the Great Basin, but still some rainfall amounts across Utah and especially up into eastern Idaho, and more isolated showers associated with the thunderstorms in central Utah and back into southwest Idaho. We did see light initial attack yesterday across the Great Basin. Precipitation we've seen has increased recently over the last week with the push of monsoon moisture, especially across parts of Nevada and Utah up into Idaho. And this precipitation is near normal in a few spots, but generally still below normal for the last 30 days across the Great Basin. As you can see, our ERCs have trended downward with the recent moisture we saw last week and are now below the 50th or 60th percentile across much of Nevada and Utah. However, our fine fuels will be drying out fairly quickly over the next couple of days, as we will see hotter temperatures and sunnier skies. Still up across Idaho, our fuels are a little bit more critical as we didn't see as much moisture, especially up in the central Idaho mountains. You can see from the 10-hour fuel moisture that has also decreased but is already increasing over parts of southern and western Nevada, and we will see again those fine fuels dry out pretty quickly here over the next couple of days, especially across Idaho and Nevada. Our ERC charts again show the downward trend of the ERCs recently. Across Nevada, some areas that had heavier rainfall over western Nevada took a much deeper dive in the ERCs, but again they will be trending back up. Idaho, the decrease was not quite as significant as the precipitation was a little bit more spotty. Today we are looking at our water vapor satellite imagery, which shows the higher levels of the atmosphere. It does not show any mid or low level moisture, but what's interesting is this upper level feature up near the San Francisco Bay Area, which will be tracking northeastward. And again, this is what may trigger some isolated thunderstorms as we go through the afternoon and the evening across Nevada, which will continue tracking northeast up across Idaho tonight and tomorrow. It may have just enough mid and upper level moisture again to trigger some thunderstorm activity. However, with very little surface moisture, we would see not as much rainfall, and also these storms will be moving pretty quickly off to the northeast. The deeper moisture, however, is still well south and won't move back up into the basin until the middle of the week. Now looking at the weather pattern for later this afternoon. Again, mostly dry across the Great Basin, but this area in black out across the northern half of Nevada may have enough moisture as that upper level wave moves across for some isolated dry thunderstorms to develop. We did not issue any high risk, as again some of the fuels are still recovering in this area, but in the drier grasses that dry out pretty quickly today, we could see certainly some new starts and the potential for some spread depending on how much lightning we see. We'll also see some breezy winds developing along the Sierra front, and again storms will be moving pretty quick across Nevada to the northeast. So it is something to watch for today for at least some increased initial attack. Looking at the winds for later today, you can see the breezy winds picking up along the Sierra front, mostly gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour, and also up over parts of central and eastern Idaho. The weather image on the right shows where the potential for that drier lightning may develop later today. Again, it looks pretty isolated, but it is something to watch just due to the fast-moving nature of the storms and in any areas that have already seen some drying. As we move into Monday, we see drier air move in across Nevada, and we will see winds pick up as this upper-level trough off the west coast pushes a little bit closer. Also, that upper level wave will move up into Idaho on Monday, so we could see some thunderstorms continuing during the overnight or early morning hours over southwest and southern Idaho, and then moving over eastern Idaho by later in the day. Again, we have not issued high risk, but it is something to watch for Idaho depending on what develops today. we may have to issue something for Idaho depending on the coverage and nature of the storms, and also how dry the fuels continue to get over the next 24 hours. Again, the wind field is on the right. You can see how those gusty winds continue to spread east across much of Nevada into western Utah. Wind gusts, again, generally around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour. Relative humidity will drop into the lower teens, so definitely dry and breezy across much of the Great Basin. And you can see the weather for later in the day on Monday, those thunderstorms mainly targeting Idaho, so we will be watching that for the potential of any increased fire potential up in that area. Also possibly lingering down in northeast Nevada early in the day before they move up into Idaho. On Tuesday, we start to see that deeper monsoon moisture return to the Arizona Strip up into southern Utah and far southern Nevada. So we will see some thunderstorms beginning to return, bringing moisture to the southern areas of the Great Basin by Tuesday, and the potential for some breezy winds in the northern areas. Still breezy winds across Nevada and again increasing across Idaho. We will see some isolated thunderstorms still lingering over central Idaho, but again also the return of lightning to parts of Utah. Right now it looks like coverage on Tuesday would be fairly minimal, but we will see some rain with these thunderstorms. And you can see the forecast amount of precipitation for the next 3 days. That return of moisture on Tuesday in the far south, still fairly light precipitation initially, and then any precipitation with these thunderstorms over the next couple of days would be mainly across the higher terrain of Idaho. As we move into Wednesday, we see the really push north of the monsoon moisture across much of Utah, southern and eastern Nevada. So we will see an increase in lightning activity, but also deeper moisture will return pretty quick, so we will see better chances of rainfall. So no high risk is issued as these thunderstorms should quickly transition to wet. On Thursday, still thunderstorms in place over the eastern half of the Great Basin and moving north into Idaho, with still dry conditions over the western half of the Great Basin. And you can see how our dryness levels are responding to that deeper moisture out across eastern areas, and then the drying trend keeping things pretty, again, hot and dry over much of western Nevada. As we move into Friday, we will still have the lingering moisture, but not quite as deep moisture, so lightning coverage may decrease a little bit over the eastern half of the Great Basin, and then on Saturday as well. However, the Four Corners high is still centered over mainly southeast Utah and northwest New Mexico, so we will continue to see the potential for lightning over the eastern half of the Great Basin. And you can see how the precipitation increases, especially as we get towards Tuesday and really more so on Wednesday, and then continuing through the end of the week. The 8 to 14 day outlook taking us into the second week of August shows warm temperatures and above normal precipitation as the monsoon has really become established and will be continuing later in the year. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.